It was the trial that sent shockwaves through Britain. Lucy Letby, a neonatal nurse, convicted of killing 7 babies in her care. But now a panel of medical experts claim the evidence was flawed and they believe Letby may not be guilty after all.
It was the bombshell this month that no one expected, and it came 18 months after Lucy Letby's high-profile, highly publicised murder trial, which both gripped and horrified the world.
Well, this has been an emotional 10-month trial.
A nurse trusted with the lives of newborn babies.
Making the 33-year-old the UK's worst child killer in modern times.
She weaponised her craft to inflict harm, grief and death.
Lucy Letby was found guilty of the murder of 7 babies and the attempted murder of 7 more, the very babies she was meant to be looking after in the neonatal unit in hospital. In devastating detail, the court heard she injected them with air, poisoned them with insulin and overfed them. She was sentenced to life in prison with no hope of release.
There was a deep malevolence bordering on sadism in your actions. You have coldly denied any responsibility for your wrongdoing and sought to attribute some fault to others. You have no remorse.
That's because Lucy Letby insisted she was innocent. Now an international panel of medical experts has announced she was likely telling the truth.
The medical evidence doesn't support murder in any of these babies, just natural causes and bad medical care.
Kia ora, I'm Amanda Gillies, and on The Detail today, the Kiwi producer whose instincts told her there was something wrong with this case and who's been working hard behind the scenes since the murder trial in the belief this could be a miscarriage of justice.
I just started researching it because there were aspects that didn't fit. She was a diligent nurse with friends and family, passionately claiming that she could never do this. And I guess, when cases have an element of being hysterical or too strange to be true, such as satanic cults or pumping babies with air and all the other things that she was claimed to have done, as we've learned in New Zealand, sometimes it's not actually true. And we know juries get it wrong. And I wondered if they did. And from there, I just started researching, waiting for the obstacle to come when I'd go, right, okay, I can down tools, but actually no obstacle really came that could not kind of defend elements of her evidence. And for me, it became clearer and clearer that this was an unsafe conviction.
That's Charlotte Purdy, an acclaimed documentary maker in New Zealand. She doesn't know Lucy Letby, she didn't attend the trial, but like so many, she did follow it from back here. She wasn't convinced Lucy was guilty, unlike the rest of the world.
We are hearing from the courts in Manchester. The former nurse, Lucy Letby, has been found guilty.
Found guilty.
She's guilty. The jury's found Lucy Letby guilty of murdering 7 babies.
Shocking and harrowing.
I speak for the whole trust when I say how deeply saddened and appalled we are at Lucy Letby's crime.
Yes, we can now report that Lucy Letby has been found guilty of the murder of 7 babies after jury deliberations of 110 hours here at Manchester Crown Court. These were all children who were on the neonatal ward at the Countess of Chester Hospital between June 2015 and June 2016. Amongst her victims were baby boys, baby girls, sets of twins, and included 2 boys from a set of triplets. These were children that Lucy Letby, now 33, but at the time of these attacks was in her mid-20s, had a duty to protect, to care for and to heal. Instead, the jury here has decided that she attacked and tried to kill them.
What was it that you exactly read or saw where you thought, hell, this girl didn't do it?
The moment for me when I thought she didn't do it was when I talked to the neonatologist who had read the baby's case notes. And he said to me, there are different ways that these babies could have died that are not murder, natural causes. And at that point, I knew that a neonatologist who had read the case notes who could say that this was massively problematic.
I want you to paint me a picture of Lucy Letby. Who is she? What's her background? Why did she become a nurse? How did she end up here?
Okay, so Lucy lived close to the hospital and she took on a lot of extra shifts. She had recently got a mortgage. She was trying to pay off her unit. She was 25. She was at the start of her career. And, you know, for all accounts, she was a hardworking and diligent nurse. So you can imagine the stress of facing these accusations in her ward. And then it goes to the police. The doctors went to the police behind the hospital back and said, we think that she killed these babies with air embolism. They met with a paediatrician who was working for the police and said, we think she killed them with air embolism and here's a paper based on it. And he went and built theories around it. So she's faced these accusations for 10 years. She's been arrested 3 times. She's been questioned 15 times. She's lost her career, her friends, her colleagues have turned on her. You know, she's lost her cats, her house, her job, and her dreams of having a family and her freedom.
To right what she perceived as this massive wrong, a miscarriage of justice, Charlotte Purdy started investigating with the aim of making a documentary about Lucy's plight.
I was Googling it in New Zealand, and then I came across a lawyer who spoke of cases overseas where nurses had been convicted. I read about the statisticians who were trying to raise the alarm, saying that the statistics were faulty. They went to the trouble to put out a huge report. No one was really listening in the UK. I then came across a scientist and then discovered that there were a couple of dozen people who were concerned about the conviction. And these weren't just ordinary Joe blogs. These were scientists, neonatologists, lawyers. And so I connected up with them and we all really just went to work doing what each of us would do best. And for me, it was writing a documentary proposal.
If you've got this information and you were able to do this from New Zealand, how and why, Charlotte, did medical professionals, do you think, how did they get this so wrong?
Well, you know, the case was built on the theories of a paediatrician, Dowie Evans. And, you know, this man, in a prior court case, the judge had deemed his reports worthless and said that he was deciding on an outcome and working out an explanation. And that's what I believe, and others believe, that he did here with the Lucy Letby case. At Lucy's trial, there were no medical experts defending her on the stand. So there was a neonatologist who had spent months assessing the case notes for the defence. He was not called to the stand. I tracked him down and he said that he believed that the jury would have come to a different conclusion had they heard from experts defending her. So you've got a paediatrician and doctors who have got theories about what she did. And when you've got a jury who are sitting there listening to doctors say this woman murdered babies and there's no one else defending her, you know, the jury has almost no choice but to convict her.
And that begs the question, why weren't these other experts called into court to give evidence on her behalf?
Well, no one truly knows the answer to that question. I've certainly asked her defence at the time, but they don't communicate the answers to me. But the defence did have experts who had assessed the case notes, who were willing to take the stand. Why they didn't put them on the stand is really down to a decision of her defence. I don't really know why they didn't take the stand or why they weren't put on the stand. Maybe they felt that the prosecution would be, you know, strong against them. I don't really know, but there were people there who were willing to do it. The defence just didn't call them.
And of course this month, Charlotte, this international panel, you've got medical experts and lawyers and the like have come out announcing that no, it wasn't murder, it was natural causes.
They were caring for babies that were probably beyond their expected ability or designated level of care. There were unsafe delays in diagnosis and treatment of acutely ill patients. There were poor skills at resuscitation and intubation. There was poor supervision of junior doctors in procedures like intubation. There were poor skills in basic medical procedures like insertion of chest tubes.
What we have shown is, as Professor Lee has outlined to you, that there were plausible reasons, very, very plausible reasons for these babies' deaths. There was a combination of babies being in the wrong place, delivered in the wrong place, delayed diagnosis, and inappropriate or absent treatment.
In summary, ladies and gentlemen, we did not find any murders. In all cases, death or injury were due to natural causes or just bad medical care.
Your reaction when you saw and heard that?
Oh, look, I'm just hugely relieved for Lucy Letby. I mean, it's that expert panel is an international intervention. Most people don't have people like that coming to the rescue, but these ones are really high caliber ones. So, I'm thrilled for her because I don't think that these people can be dismissed, as other experts had been dismissed in the UK who were trying to raise the alarm prior to these people. And so I think that there's a really great chance that we will see her exonerated.
Has there been any word from the parents of the babies that have died or anything from Lucy since this panel of experts have come out?
There's been nothing from Lucy. Regarding the parents are often kind of trotted out in social media, or they were in the press in the UK saying, this is insensitive to the parents. How can you do this? But the fact is that these parents have been taken on a horrific ride of thinking someone's murdered their children. At the end of the day, they should know the truth. And you can't keep someone in prison because it's insensitive or considered insensitive to the parents to get to the heart of the truth of this case.
Because for the parents, when you think your child's been murdered, God, that is a game changer from your baby died of natural causes. So you can imagine what they're going through at the same time right now as well.
Yeah, they've been taken on a journey from hell as well, most definitely.
Has the hospital at the centre of this, have they come out and said anything since the panel has dropped their bombshell?
They haven't said anything publicly, but today in the Telegraph, I noticed that there are 19 nurses who believe that Lucy is innocent. Many of them went to the hospital or went to Lucy's defence and offered to take the stand on her behalf. The hospital actually told them to stay away from it because it was a murder case. And these nurses are trying to talk publicly now. Yeah, so nothing from the hospital, but the nurses are coming out.
Have you ever spoken to Lucy Letby? Like, what's she like? How's she coping?
Look, I've not spoken to her. I've heard from people close to her in the early days of her life sentence that she was barely coping, not coping. But I think that she's got some hope now.
Because she's always maintained her innocence, hasn't she? She's never at one point said, actually, I did do this.
No, she has always maintained her innocence, that's right.
The baby she's been found guilty of murdering died between June 2015 and June 2016, but Lucy wasn't charged until 2020. This is the moment she was arrested at her home, which was beamed around the world.
Hello, Lucy, is it?
Yes.
Hello, my name. Just please. Can you step in 2 seconds?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm just going to put you in the back seat over here. Take a seat in there for me, Lucy. I'll move that seat forward a bit. Sure. Yeah, I've just had knee surgery. So. Oh, right, okay.
She was convicted in 2 trials in 2023 and 2024. The Court of Appeal has twice refused her permission to appeal.
This court, having heard her application, has decided to refuse leave to appeal on all grounds and to refuse all associated applications.
How did your friends and family react when you said, look, I'm getting involved, I'm going to have this woman's back?
I don't know if I told too many people, but the people I did tell, there were some that were supportive and there were others who just couldn't believe that I would take on such a project. I got emails from some people, just really trying to convince me that she was definitely guilty and asking how on earth I could do this.
So talk me through your documentary. What is in it? What will we be able to see in it? And, what did you hope to achieve?
Well, I just need to just give you a bit of background to the documentary proposal. So I wrote a documentary proposal that was quite comprehensive that outlined for TV commissioners how her case could be broken down and viewed from a different way, that she could actually be innocent and that this could be a miscarriage of justice. I finally got that to a channel, to a network in the UK They got back to me within 12 hours and said, what do you want to do with this project? We're interested. I knew that actually getting out of the way was in the best interest of getting that project up and running really quickly, because the case was so contentious. No story had been really broken in the UK about it being a miscarriage of justice at all. And, well, I knew that the network wanted really their own trusted production company on it. So I did a deal, and I basically surrendered the project and did a deal for a fee and gave them all of my research. So I'm involved with the project as a consultant, but I'm not executive producing or directing it. I know what's going on, and I know who they're interviewing, and it's all coming along well. But the case, Lucy's case, has moved a long way since I did that deal. Really, this time last year. At the time that I did that, no one was saying publicly in the UK that she was innocent. Now the pendulum has completely swung, and you'd actually be hard-pressed to find anyone, certainly in the media, who would claim that she's guilty. The flags have been well and truly raised, and the media are all over this over there. So the whole case has come such a long way since I started pitching it.
Breaking right now, Lucy Letby's best friends continue to stand by her.
Have all of Lucy's friends stood by her?
Yes. We know she couldn't have done anything that she's accused of.
Perhaps, just perhaps, Lucy Letby is the victim of a monstrous miscarriage of justice.
It's highly probable that Lucy Letby is innocent.
Because there were deaths when she wasn't on duty, which are not part of that.
There were. About half the deaths, were when she was not on duty. So that's the first problem.
Do you think there is reasonable doubt?
I think there's more than reasonable doubt.
Could they have got it wrong?
I'm pretty sure they did get it wrong.
He said that the evidence was incorrect, and that, in fact, the conviction, therefore, was incorrect. And, therefore, could it be that Lucy Letby is actually innocent? Which would be a remarkable situation, wouldn't it?
It's incredible, because when you first started, she was so hated and vilified, and people were horrified and disgusted. So how do you think media coverage impacts sort of public perception of these cases?
Yeah, look, I think it just hugely impacts the public perception of these cases. Public opinion is key to putting pressure on authorities to take notice. There's been scientists, professors, statisticians, there's been a lot of people trying to raise the alarm for a long time, but they were really dismissed, even publicly, as ghouls and misfits and conspiracy theorists. Lucy's now lawyer, Mark McDonald, has an understanding of turning public perception and how important that is to put pressure on the authorities, and his willingness to quickly get the information into the public domain has made a difference here. So he has been doing press conferences, he's done 2 now, and so he's very open. Lucy's previous lawyers, I actually got in contact with them numerous times. They were not interested in talking to me or other journalists who were trying to advocate that this could be a miscarriage of justice. So I think the media coverage makes a huge difference in these cases.
Having the media on side now, especially in light of work that you guys have done, and obviously with this panel coming out this month, how soon do you think that this could be turned around? How soon do you think she could be exonerated? And how do you think she'll be treated if she does get let free?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of journalists on this case now and on the fact that it could be a miscarriage of justice. A lot. All of the papers over there are publishing major stories daily on it. I think that the CCRC, which is reviewing her case now, will be under enormous pressure to not take the years and years the way that they usually do, but to potentially do it as quickly as possible. There's a chance they could do it in 6 to 12 months, and I'm extremely hopeful and believe it will go back for an appeal unless the justice system doubles down. And they could double down. The police doubled down in the face of these questions and actually retried her and got a conviction on circumstantial evidence. The justice system has doubled down in some ways. There's an inquiry over there going on, and the judge who opened the inquiry said all of the noise, quote, noise around this case, we're going to press on with this inquiry. So, you just have to hope that the authorities in the UK and the justice system are open-minded to take this new information on. they're not always, so who knows?
Should doctors and, say, forensic experts, do you think, should they be held accountable for misdiagnoses that lead to wrongful convictions? What's your view on that?
Look, I think it's really tough. Misdiagnosis by doctors can tear families apart and obviously ruin people's lives because juries listen to doctors over a potential criminal. So it can lead to really, really serious consequences. I think before we try and make doctors accountable for misdiagnosis, we need to build a more robust system that can catch these cases before they get to the point of wrongful convictions, because there's a lot of them. This has really opened my eyes to miscarriages of justice out there, particularly in the medical world and definitely here in New Zealand as well.
Do you know of cases where new medical research has overturned past convictions or, people who have been let off because the medical explanation was wrong?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it happened with the Munchausen by proxy cases in 2000. It's happening a lot internationally with shaken baby syndrome right now. A man in Dallas was exonerated a few months ago. There's actually been 50 convictions of shaken baby syndrome in the US alone over a 10-year period where new medical research has overturned those past convictions. So most definitely.
What reforms, Charlotte, do you think are needed to prevent wrongful convictions based on faulty medical evidence?
Well, I don't know if I'm really qualified to answer that question, but I'll offer my opinion since you've asked for it, Amanda.
Thank you.
At the stage where people are accused, the police need to engage, a number of completely independent experts, high caliber ones, which they did not do in Lucy Letby's case, believe it or not. They need to truly approach the case as if the person is innocent, because confirmation bias plays a really big part in these accusations going forward to trial. Maybe we make it mandatory that lawyers must bring medical experts to a defence, because it's actually down to the lawyers whether they do or don't. Who knows whether they want to spend the budget on going and getting experts to come to the defence. I just don't know why the lawyers in Letby's case didn't, but they made a terrible mistake there. I wonder, do we consider losing the jury system? Ordinary people, are they really fit to understand medicine or science? They are going to be swayed by the best experts and the better lawyers, aren't they? And, all their own bias. Ideally, do we want educated professionals, doctors, scientists, experts on a jury? I don't know if we have enough of these people floating around who would want to sit on a jury, but I think it is problematic that we've got ordinary people trying to interpret medical and scientific evidence.
Letby has a new lawyer who has now referred her case to the Criminal Cases Review Commission, the CCRC, with the aim of having it reopened. Charlotte Purdy will now watch the next steps, the next developments closely, but this time she'll have a few more people on her side.
I'm now one of so many people in the room. Initially, it was only me and very few other people who were, kind of trying to establish whether there was a miscarriage of justice. But there's so many now. I'm just grateful that the UK have got on board, because for a while it was pretty interesting looking in, going, wow, they are really vilifying this woman. I mean, it was kind of just like something from the past, watching the judge, give her 14 life sentences. And yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy journey, but I'm just really, really pleased that she might actually be exonerated.
And Charlotte mentioned shaken baby syndrome. Listen out for my next podcast later this week when we look at such a case happening now in New Zealand. That's all for today. The Detail is a Newsroom production supported by RNZ and New Zealand On Air. Thank you to Charlotte Purdy. This episode was produced by Alexia Russell and engineered by William Saunders. I'm Amanda Gillies. Matua.